Yo, 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 what's good, my people? What's good, my people? It's your boy Jason Gooner back again with some more content for you. This time, we are just going to do a roundup of all the things going on in the Jamaican football space. Definitely going to touch at the end of the show on the EPL week one, just briefly talk about some of the games, the results, and also take a look back at how people did in the predictions. So, in the title, you see editorial disaster class. So we're going to be looking at both flagship newspapers in Jamaica, the Gleaner and the Observer, have written editorials about the new coach and his hiring. And I wanted to just touch on both of those articles and have a discussion about that. I have some thoughts on those. The U14 boys, 4 straight wins, as you can see in the title. So we're going to talk about them a little bit as well, try to get some background on the team, the players, and just talk about the coaching staff and talk about how well they have been doing. Cavalier tops Mount Pleasant. So last night they got started in the CONCACAF Caribbean Cup. Cavalier got the best of Mount Pleasant 2-0. We watched the game, so we're going to talk about it as well on this program today. And Fraziers whipped. Yes, Fraziers whip did go up in the W CONCACAF Champions Cup, and they faced Alajuelense from Costa Rica, and they had a tough time of it. So we're going to talk about that as well. And Bonnie, the best, Bonnie Shaw winning the PFA Players Player of the Year as voted by her peers. So big respect to Khadija Bonnie Shaw. We're going to talk about that as well in the program. There's also a bonus segment we're going to do at the end of the program. There's something that happened last night. I did not put it in the title or anything or the thumbnail because basically I already had this show kind of planned, but I do want to touch on it at the end of the program as well. So there's a bonus segment to look out for at the end of the program. All right, people, so you know the drill. We are on YouTube, so you have to like, share, and subscribe. That is the way that the video will get out there to the people. And yeah, man, we are going to have a good show today. Definitely discuss the hot topics in the football and give Jason Gooner TV perspective. You know how we do. And of course, it's an interactive show, so the people in the comment section, feel free to drop your thoughts. You know, you can support us by staying engaged in the conversation. That's another way for YouTube to start to notice, oh, Jason Gooner TV, yeah, his programs, people seem into it, you know what I mean? So yeah, man, they do those things for me and keep the show going, keep the progress of the channel going. We really appreciate all the subscribers we have attained, and we're definitely pushing onwards and upwards towards the loftier goals that we have set for ourselves. All right, people. So yeah, man, I'm gonna do my part, put in the work when I can. Have some time today. So I wanted to do a video and just talk to the people and just give my takes on some of the things that have been making the rounds. Yeah, big up yourself, namesake. Go on. We're there in the building. Sheridan, one Jamaica. Yes, one Jamaica. We love that, Sheridan. Big up yourself, my brother. Young Jeezy. Yeah, man. Young Beans in the building, you don't know. So we're outside people and we want to put our thoughts out there on some of these topics. All right. So yeah, first and foremost, people, as I said, like the video, share the video. Let me actually share it a couple more times, people. While I'm doing that, just make sure you're smashing the like button. That is probably the most important thing you can do for me at this current moment. Just like the videos, all right? That is very important. You know, once I get going in the show, I don't really bring up those things very much. I need to get better at that, actually, but I just like to flow and let the thoughts be coherent and just keep the flow of the show going. So we don't really talk about it much, which is probably not the smartest thing to do as a YouTuber, but I know a lot of people always tell me, yo, make sure you ask for the likes them, make sure you ask for the likes them. It's a serious important thing. And it is, because I notice when I look back at like the analytics of some of the shows I've done, basically it's a situation where whenever I noticeably ask for the likes, I get more likes on the video. So yeah, I'm gonna try to be better at it, people. I know hopefully you guys don't get offended or anything, but yeah, we have to do that, people. It's a part of it, it's a part of the game. Kevin Jones, well, go on, yeah, man. Blessings, we're outside, we're there. All right, so first thing I want to touch on, people, the editorial disaster class. So what am I talking about, right? So if you guys are in the YouTube space, especially the Jamaican one, you would have seen Big Up Cranky Live. He did a show last night kind of discussing the Observer's editorial. And there was actually another one that the Gleaner put out right after the coach was hired, early in the month, and I wanted to just touch on both of those and just kind of touch on how the tone in them are very similar, even though they're different people writing them. Something that, as a fan of Jamaican football that lives in the diaspora, sometimes me wanting to make changes, not changes, or me giving my takes on things that might happen in Jamaican football, people sometimes feel some type of way because I'm not on the ground. And I understand that sentiment still, but at the same time, perspective matters sometimes. And I think sometimes the perspective that I might give might actually, help out the situation if people just listen to me with an open mind. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that the diasporans will have all the answers, but I do think that the way how the JFF is constructed and the way how Jamaican football is constructed, there's no point, using the diaspora in certain aspects and then trying to freeze them out in others. And I feel like that's a part of what happens with the way the JFF constitution is written. I realize that if you're going to be helping Jamaican football, definitely you'd have to be on the ground at some point. I'm not trying to advocate that we have a shadow JFF board that all lives, in all corners of the earth. But I do think that, with the utilization of the diaspora in the composition of our teams, especially on the women's side and the men's side, and then, as you get into the younger age groups as well, especially on the girls' side, you see more of a all-encompassing effort in trying to get players in. When you look at the under 17s, the under 20s, it's somewhat of a mixture. The under 20s, you see something similar, but that quota word gets thrown around. So a lot of the times, I think the conversation is framed in a way where, it's a battle for resources, right? And so there's a lot of people are in the mindset of, if people that live in the diaspora who obviously have can attain the citizenship to represent Jamaica, if they are being used in these youth teams, what is the outlet for the players playing locally? And I just don't understand why there's this fascination with this idea that the national teams are the only route to exposure as a footballer professionally. I just don't think that is the truth. I do know that it can help in situations like we know Kaheem Dixon, by numerous reports now, looks to have attained his work permit, and it was a struggle for him based on the fact that Jamaica is not ranked in the top 50 in the world. And I know that when clubs have players and they're looking to transfer them overseas, that's going to be something that's going to be a deterrent if they're not members of the national team, based on that 75% of the caps rule. So, there's a lot of arguments to say, we have to find a way to get these guys opportunities with the national team. But I think they're going about this the wrong way. There's enough examples. Just thinking of one, Ronaldo Cephas. Ronaldo Cephas never represented Jamaica, to my knowledge, at any level prior to representing the national team recently. And Ronaldo Cephas, got a move to Macedonia, right? Did well there. Then earned his move to the Turkish Super League. And, for me, he's the type of example that I would look to and try to speak to the Jamaican local fans and say, listen, it is not the end all be all to be a member of the Jamaica national team. You might not like the route that you'll have to take, but that is just a byproduct of the failure to develop the local brand. The JFF, the JFF, the JPL, these leagues, they'll have to improve the level of the play, the level of the coaching, in order for teams to take chances on them straight out of the league. And even if, they can't attain the level that would make it easier for guys to move straight from the league to one of the top tier leagues in Europe, I feel like the route that you take to lesser nations in Europe is a viable one. And I don't think that people should frown upon these things. So, let me get off of my soapbox and let's get right into what we're going to discuss as far as the editorial is concerned. So I want to do it chronologically. So I want to go back to the editorial that was in the Jamaica Observer, and this was from way back on August the 1st. Okay, so on August the 1st, and let's get this on screen. And remember, people, smash that like button. That is very, very important. Tennessee Lewis, big up, brother. Big up, big up. Wow, nice car, man. Bless up, Jason. Like and subscribe. Thanks. Yeah, man, Tycoon. Let them know, Tycoon. Big up yourself. Barca. Tom Stranger. Up, Tom Stranger. What go on? Yeah, man, in the building. All right, let me do something else real quick. Let me do that. Let's make sure we have this turned on. Yeah, car. Want to make sure so we sort the stream out the real and proper way. So let's get this going. Done. All right, so we're going to discuss this editorial now, or these editorials, I should say. All right, now that I've done that, let's turn this on. Make sure that people are remembering to subscribe if they haven't already. All right, people, so now we're going to get into it. Yeah, man, and thanks to everybody in the building. Lee Young, big up yourself. All right, so let's get the Observer one on screen first. So this is the Observer editorial. This was August 1st, 2024. And as you can see in the title, FIFA World Cup qualification crucial, but also youth development can't be ignored. So let's read along now, people. Such is the yearning for qualification to the 2026 FIFA Men's World Cup that even those who know very little about him are probably happy at the appointment of a new Reggae Boyz head coach. Indeed, in the context of sport, news on Wednesday of Mr. Steve McLaren's appointment following Hamar Hallgrimsson's recent departure competed with happenings in Paris, where the track and field section of the Olympic Games begins on Friday. A midfielder during his playing days in the late 70s, 80s, and early 90s, Mr. McLaren has had many years of experience in guiding clubs in England and Europe, as well as the English national team. He was appointed manager of England Three Lions in 2006, but walked after 15 months when the team failed to qualify for the European Championships. Those will remember that's when he got the moniker Wally with the Brolly, or Wally. Yeah, when he had the umbrella on the sidelines, losing to, I think it was I want to say it was either Russia or Ukraine, or Russia or Croatia, one of them. I think Russia or Croatia. For those who follow football, an Englishman as the new coach didn't come as a surprise, given recent word from JFF President Mr. Michael Ricketts that this was his personal preference. As explained in part by Mr. Ricketts in mid-July, simply, I would like a coach that knows the players, especially the English-based players, since our team is made up of a lot of English-based players. The 2-year contract with 63-year-old McLaren is specifically with qualification for the 2026 FIFA World Cup in mind. And Mr. Ricketts said Wednesday that we are confident we made the right decision. That's left to be seen. Ultimately, the proof of the pudding is always in the eating. Mr. McLaren has spoken of his recognition of the potential of Jamaican football and that with continued hard work and development, a bright future lies ahead. He tells us he had no hesitation in accepting a position that is ideally suited to me at this stage of my career. Recently, we suggested in this space that in choosing Mr. Hallgrimsson's replacement, the JFF had the opportunity to set the Reggae Boyz on a path beyond qualification for the next World Cup. We argued that the chosen coach should have a long-term outlook and plan for Jamaica's football development, one that involves grassroots and infrastructural improvements and a wider engagement with the football community at home and across the diaspora. All right, so that's an important paragraph there. I'm going to read it again. So the Observer is saying that they argued that the chosen coach should have a long-term outlook and plan for Jamaica's football development, one that involves grassroots and infrastructural improvements and a wider engagement with the football community at home and across the diaspora. As well, a holistic approach will ensure the sustainability of Jamaica's football product and the competitiveness of our program on the global stage. Whoever is appointed, we said, should also be committed to unearthing, nurturing, and exposing the island's natural talents. So that's something that comes up a lot when the raw talent, natural talent, right? We hear that a lot. So we're going to talk about that as well today. That emerging local stars should see the national senior team as an attainable goal. They must be effectively integrated into the program and given the opportunity to draw from the experience of seasoned veterans in an environment of balance and quality. His 2-year contract suggests that success or failure in that short-term project will determine Mr. McLaren's future in Jamaica post the qualifying campaign. Against that backdrop, we think it's useful to say that the recent abysmal Jamaica age group campaign at the CONCACAF Men's Under-20 Championship in Mexico underlines the reality that long-term development can't be put on hold. All right, so the Observer there, this is immediately after getting the news McLaren was hired, right? This was August the 1st, this was released. And it's an editorial in the Jamaica Observer. So, I think I'm going to read this one as well, the one from the Gleaner, because even though they're two different articles and they're about 2 weeks apart, I think the tone of it is very similar. And I think they share kind of guiding principles that kind of shapes the way they wrote the article. So I'm going to just read that one as well, and then I will give my take on the overall situation and how I see it. All right, so let's get the Gleaner editorial that came out more recently up on screen. Fan of mine, best up, Yeah, man, I got to make you know the prediction results, because you were one of the ones that gave me all the games. So I'll make you know where you're finishing at table this week, Did you watch the game last night between Cavalier and Mount Pleasant? Yeah, man, Tom Strange, I did. It's in the title. We will discuss the game, and I will give my take on what I saw and what I thought, all right? So stick around for that for sure, Tom Stranger. Observer need to sit down and observe. We've been doing what they're crying for and been failing. New settings, yeah, fan of mine. I tend to agree with those sentiments, actually. All right, so let's go to the Gleaner now. And like I said, this came out a bit more recently. This was the 16th, so about a little over 2 weeks after the Observer editorial. And this one says Steve McLaren's mandate. So, we heard them make reference to what they thought the new coach should look like in terms of, their role, the role that he should play. And it greatly differs from what the JFF's mandate was for the coach. And now we're seeing another article where they are proposing their mandate. So let's go through this. And again, shout out to Cranky. I know whoever watched that show last night would have seen him go through this as well. But I like to, whenever I talk about these things, just read the article so, people can get the context of everything. All right, so this is what the Gleaner had to say now. Steve McLaren made a number of sensible observations at his introduction last week as the coach of Jamaica's national football team. One of them was that there was a significant amount of footballing talent on the island, which, of course, didn't take his 35 years experience in football management at the highest level to divine. Wow, what a sentence there. Mr. McLaren's more profound observation, however, is that there is such a lot to do to unlock that potential to give Jamaica a real shot at reaching the 2026 World Cup in the United States, Mexico, and Canada. That is in part why this newspaper looks forward to further and better particulars on the scope of Mr. McLaren's assignment, and why the JFF should authorize FIFA, the game's global governing body, to release the analysis that he undertook for FIFA on the state of the game and presumably football management in Jamaica. Now, I have to point out, people, that this part of this editorial, that specific paragraph, I agree with. I remember when we spoke about his press conference, my father was in the show, and he said, he would love to see the report that was done by Steve McLaren when he did the analysis in 2021, and I agreed. I would love to see that report as well, to see what he thought, to see what his thoughts are. He tended to say in his press conference that day that a lot of the things that he thought was needed to be done, he had to commend Speed and others involved for starting to implement some of the programs, whether it's the coaching, whether it's the implementation of the youth leagues again, things of that nature. So, he made reference to it slightly in the press conference, but I would love to see it, actually. That would be great if that could be published. The point is, insofar as the public is aware, Mr. McLaren's terms of reference, and therefore his sole focus, is to win sufficient of Jamaica's remaining matches in the qualifying rounds so that the island can reach the World Cup. Nothing has been said about the broader development of the game on the island. Mr. McLaren may well have the skills to pull it off. At least, Jamaica has never had a bigger name as the coach of its national football team. So, praise with shade at the same time. René Simões, the Brazilian, may be a cult hero in Jamaica for taking the island to Paris in 1998. They went to France actually, but okay. But he has never had charge with the status of England, of which Mr. McLaren was manager from 2006 until England failed to qualify for the 2008 European Championship. Further, he has come to Jamaica from a job as an assistant to Eric Ten Hag at Manchester United, probably the world's most famous club, where 2 decades ago he was an assistant to the legendary Sir Alex Ferguson. Mr. McLaren has also managed English club teams such as Queen's Park Rangers and Middlesbrough, as well as coached in Holland and Germany. Middlesbrough is not a team, it's Middlesbrough. I don't know how them thing don't get proofread, you know. As the Samoa's era showed, taking Jamaica to the World Cup may be achievable. It is, however, quite another thing to sustain Jamaica at a high level of performance on the international stage, except without a continuous stream of transient so-called legacy players, footballers of Jamaican heritage, especially in Britain, who turn out for the island in an effort to play international football. So I have a big issue with this part of it here. Just the underhandedness of the way it's written, except without a continuous stream of transient so-called legacy players. I don't know the reason for the so-called. I don't know the reason for footballers of Jamaican heritage. When they play for us, they're actually Jamaicans, people, right? They're Jamaicans. Let's just be honest. Until we can stop having to make that distinction, I feel like we're going to always run into problems. Put another way, replicating the Samoa's Burrell magic of 98 will be, as Mr. McLaren has already indicated, no easy feat. Even if it is achieved, which we hope it is, the gains will be fleeting if Jamaica thereafter returns to the inverted riding of the escalator that has marked its national football management in the quarter century since Paris. First, however, notwithstanding McLaren's correct statement that access to resources won't, by itself, take Jamaica to the World Cup, it is an important component. And as this newspaper has pointed out, the current JFF president, Michael Ricketts, is no Horace Burrell. He has neither the charm nor the loquacious energy of the late former Army captain that allowed him to entice the state and corporate Jamaica to invest heavily in the 98 Paris dream. And neither has Mr. Ricketts in his 6 years at the helm of the JFF demonstrated either management skills or imagination to compensate for the short-termism and project-by-project approach of the previous regimes. The Federation remains, it appears, racked by inefficiency and a clunky approach to management. It is against this backdrop that the Gleaner previously recommended to the JFF that it disband itself, making way for the constitution and incorporation of a new body to oversee domestic football. Wow. So them say, oh, everybody out of there. Voluntary guardianship. Alternatively, as we proposed, the Federation might have subjected itself to a kind of voluntary guardianship, inviting independent stakeholders to have a watchdog role over its activities. Hubris, unfortunately, didn't allow the JFF to accept these sensible bits of advice. These, therefore, are among the reasons why we believe that Mr. McLaren's full report to FIFA on Jamaica, which was part of the Global Federation's effort to develop the sport internationally, would be useful. That report, we suspect, contributed to Jamaica being part of FIFA's talent development scheme that involved the training of several domestic coaches. It may have also influenced FIFA's pressure on the JFF to amend its constitution to make its power base more inclusive. Mr. McLaren has characterized his job as being to make the World Cup dream come alive by choosing the best players for the team, whether the domestic league are those of Jamaican heritage who play abroad. But he stressed that there has to be a shared vision and commitment for there to be success. We might not have the greatest resources, but it is the people, commitment, standard, and behavior that will make the difference. Mr. McLaren is right. But that kind of success won't be sustained or can't readily be in the absence of a strong foundation of domestic football, from the grassroots to the top. Having to import someone like Mr. McLaren every World Cup cycle to cobble together a program just isn't sensible. This, hopefully, was among the issues Mr. McLaren addressed in the Football Ecosystem Report on Jamaica for FIFA. Stakeholders should know if and how he answered that question, and if and how he intends to deal with it as the national coach, presuming that is part of his mandate. So that last part of the article is the part that makes the most sense, right? Presuming it's part of his mandate. That's a big presumption, and one that we can pretty much shoot down, because everybody associated with this coach and the hire has stated that his mandate is to qualify us for the 2026 World Cup. There's no other mandate. There's no other mandate. Whatever he decides to do as far as development locally is up to him. And that is just based on what everyone has been saying. So for them to write that article, really and truly, for me, it was unnecessary because, we're leveling at this coach, the future of the Jamaican football development, which is foolishness. We have a hierarchy already in place. The technical director would be the man charged with that, as well as the president of the technical committee and the technical committee itself. They would be responsible for any technical advancements or development that is to take place in Jamaica's football. Anybody that doesn't have that in their head, I don't know why. That is literally what they're supposed to do. So Mr. Wendell Downswell, right? Mr. Speed, and the rest of the committee, we know that you are the ones tasked with developing the players locally, developing the coaches locally, right? Working with them, getting them certified, getting them more experience. These are the things that are going to make the leagues get better, make the eyes get on the leagues more. When we go to these competitions, we can hold up against some of these top CONCACAF teams. We're a long way off from that. And no hiring, you could hire Pep Guardiola to be the manager. That's not going to make the grassroots in Jamaica get any better. There has to be a complete overhaul of things for that to happen. And, I think that they're trying to put things in place to do so. But it is not something that can happen overnight. And I believe that, we need to be leveling our focus. I'm not even going to use the word blame because I'm not blaming anyone, but we need to level our focus in the aspect of developing Jamaica's football directly at the technical director of the JFF and the technical committee of the JFF. Those are the entities that we need to be looking at when we're talking about development. This whole thing about the national teams being attainable goals for the local players, I'm not saying it shouldn't be, but we should not be basing selection of teams on, why, this player might get a move, and if they get the requisite amount of caps, then that move can now be possible. You guys have to work for what you get, right? And that's why I say, look at the examples of the players that never represented Jamaica and what they have been able to do. Ronaldo Cephas, yes, he's going through his issues with the club, but he got there. He's in the Turkish Super League. He played a season there, right? He went to Macedonia first. Not the most glorious place to go, but that man got out of Arnett Gardens, went somewhere, and he continued to improve, and he did enough for one of the top leagues in Europe to call him up. And hopefully it's a stepping stone and he can go further, right? The young man Mitchell just left and went to Macedonia as well. He's never played for Jamaica to my knowledge, but he's gone. So I think because we are typically fans of the English Premier League, we believe that that's the only place football is played. And, for me, I think that we need to be acting a bit more smart when it comes down to the players that we send overseas and where we're sending them, because there's no point sending a player who's not ready somewhere. And we saw the evidence of that with Trevante Stewart. I mean, he went to a team that was struggling in the league. They had a bag of strikers already, for one. He comes in a window with a bunch of other players, and due to injuries and all kind of things, he gets chances, and you could tell it, the level was just not there for him at the moment. And luckily he got the loan deal to Serbia, did well towards the end of that deal, and was able to get another deal to stay in that league. But if he had gone to Serbia first, would he have gotten the fanfare from the local media? Maybe not. I mean, the guy Mitchell who went to Macedonia is an afterthought. You have to squint your eye to see his news that he left. Big up to BAM Sports and JamPL fan putting in the work with the Jamaican players, because to me, you guys do more than the local press who is complaining that we don't give these players a chance. Well, you guys don't give them a chance with the articles you write. You guys should be on top of these things. Why aren't you more vocal about the transfer market in the JPL? How come that's not news every day in the newspapers? So you can't you know, I don't understand this championing of one aspect of Jamaica's football, the local players and the local leagues, but in the actual press, you guys don't champion these things. You guys would rather talk about, Leon Bailey and the JFF, or Steve McLaren Article 77. You know what I'm saying? Like, you guys want one thing, but you don't put in the work on your end. So I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense. And it just the tone of some of the ways you write some of these, you can tell that it's coming from a standpoint of, yes, I want us to reach to certain places, but people still get caught up on the composition of the team and who's playing and who's representing us. I feel like people hear the guys talk after the games, and yes, they have an English accent because that's where they've lived. And I feel like for some that's a bit too much to swallow. They don't like to hear that. They would rather hear someone talking like what I'm talking right now in the interviews. You know what I'm saying? And I guess, I don't know, call me naive, call me whatever, but I feel like there will be a time when people will be able to look past those things and just support the players and just know that the minute them step on a plane and them forward and them put on a jersey, you don't have to worry about whether them going to give them all, whether them, what they're coming for, what their motives are. It takes a lot to say, yes, I'm going to play and I'm going to travel and I'm going to use the time when I would usually be relaxing with my family to come and play football for Jamaica. To me, to make that step, you can kill all the noise about how them feel and if them heart is in it and all these things. To me, that is just another way to go around the actual truth, which is that these guys want to represent Jamaica, and that's why they come and do it, right? And for someone like myself who have children now, one of them potentially will play football in the future. I would just hate to have her have to deal with any kind of discrimination due to the fact that she was never living in Jamaica in her lifetime. The fact that she lives with her father that is a huge proponent of Jamaican culture speaks to her, just like how I'm talking to you right now. We watch football together. I tell her that Jamaica is playing games. She wants to stay up late and watch them. She want to know the next day what happened. She have her jerseys. She support. Why is her ability to play for any team that Jamaica would put out any less than anybody else? It shouldn't be. It should never be. And it should, as I said before, it should not be taken as taking food from other people or anything of that nature. Because if the goal is really and truly to grow the brand of Jamaica in a footballing sense, and you know that your resources might be limited on the island, in every other aspect of Jamaica, we utilize anything we can utilize to get the job done. So, remittances is a huge part of GDP in Jamaica. But we don't want to use up the actual physical capital that we have. Only if it's something that they can see on a balance sheet. Is it that we don't come with remittances in hand? Why is a problem if we come to play for Jamaica? Like, I don't get it. Because you wouldn't turn away the money, but you want to turn away the people. It don't add up. It don't make any sense. And to me, the local press, you guys need to stop pushing this narrative. Just stop pushing this narrative. It just create division and breed division. And it's so unnecessary, because if you talk to the players themselves, right? Most of them, when them actually deal with the players from overseas, like personally, always a good vibe in terms of that exchange of knowledge, right? That exchange of knowledge is very important. You can see how a professional really carry themselves, because that's one thing that you can always tell successful people, like in a thing like football, like how they carry themselves on the pitch in training, things of that nature, how hard they go, how every drill means something to them. And to me, that's a part of the thing that, we need to improve. Because I remember it. I remember going to trainings and, some people being into it, some not being into it. And I think that kind of permeates the culture. And you can see it when we watch some of our teams play these competitions, as we're going to get to like Fraziers whip, right? We can hold our own for like a time in the game. And when I say hold our own, I mean just don't get run over, right? Because, there's a mismatch there with Fraziers whip and the team they play. There's no doubt about it. But, in the first half, the scoreline was okay. Once that second half rolls around and, that lack of, extra games that the other teams would have played that they're facing, the lack of extra training sessions, it really starts to tell. And once the physical side goes, the mental side is not far behind. And that's really what gets out a lot of our teams. A lot of them. And I just feel like we need to be more realistic. That word natural talent, raw talent gets thrown around. In the foot, and I heard Cranky touch on this, and I have to agree with him. In the footballing sense, that raw talent thing, it's not a physical thing. I don't think that translates to football personally. Because it's such a cerebral game, it's such a mental game, right? Because you can have a team play the exact same formation and they play totally different. And it's the way they think the game. It's the mental side, the mental aspect. And I think that's where, we as a footballing culture, we hold the wrong things in high esteem, right? So when a team has a brilliant pattern of play playing out from the back, we don't have a reaction as a fan base, right? When a man pile a man, we have a big reaction. When a tackle bust, we have a big reaction. So just the way we even think the game, I think is counterintuitive to where the game is going. And we need to be more honest with ourselves and really analyze these things and try to figure out why we feel like we're so stuck. Strides are being made, yes, but as I said, it's not going to happen overnight. And we just need to be steadfast and keep the course. We don't need to start to try to stack the deck in any one way or the other. We just need to have some good ideas and strategies in place, and we need to implement them, and we need to stay with them. And that's why I say, people, this whole thing about the coach and his mandate to develop Jamaican football is rubbish. Stop giving the coach more work than him need. This coach have a lot of moving parts already with the players, trying to recruit players, trying to keep the players we have on board in tune with the program and not upset. There's a lot he's going to have to deal with. So let's not try to level anything extra on him. I think it's a part of the stuff that burned out Hal Grimson when he had that January, February run where he was going all over the country to each parish, talking to all the parish heads. That is the technical director and the technical committee's work. Why are we putting that on the head coach? It don't make sense. He's not the technical director and the head coach. So stop it, people. And shame on these two publications in Jamaica, because the first thing you should do is read the damn constitution, and it will tell you what the head coach job is and what the TD job is and what the technical committee job is. And you wouldn't waste ink and time writing these editorials about mandates for the head coach. Those two things are not the same. All right. So couple of takeaways mainly. Rubbish to think about head coach and mandate. Head coach have one mandate: win with the Reggae Boys, reach the goals you want to reach Nations League far, reach far in the Gold Cup, and get to the World Cup. That's all I care about with the head coach. And if you have players that want to play for Jamaica, convince them to play for Jamaica, convince them to get their paperwork done and help them along the way, and we get them over the line and we use them in the games. All right. That's what I think the coach should be doing. That's number one. Number two, this whole thing about heritage players and overseas English bit just can't. I was happy when he came up with heritage because I thought it was a bit more endearing to call them that, you know what I mean, instead of overseas base or foreign base. But even the heritage thing, I kind of changed my mind about that too. Jamaicans. Literally just said Jamaicans. And the reason why I say that, when I watch the Premier League the other day, I'm going to see Ipswich and Leicester. The man said Jamaican international. And that man is from England. So why is it that the Englishman don't say the English-based or English-born Jamaican international? Him don't say that, you know. Him just say Amari Hutchinson, Jamaican international. Done. End of. We need to operate the same. No, if you don't hear me say it, people correct me every time. It done. For me, it done. Me not say it again. My daughter is a Jamaican. Omar Hutchinson is a Jamaican. Michael Antonio is a Jamaican. No more of this overseas base and local base. Everybody a Jamaican. That's why them wear the same jersey. Them not give you an overseas based jersey for wearing at the match. So why we have to make the distinction when we talk about the player them? And the reason why I do it, you know, is because I live in Jamaica, right? So I grew up in it, and it becomes something you don't challenge. You just accept it because that's what the paper saying or that's what them saying. So you start to put it in your psyche now, to the point where it's in my psyche. But may I remove it? May I take back the power of my brain today? Never again will you hear me say nothing about local and overseas base. Jamaicans, whether it's youth program, anything, Jamaicans. And we're going to see if it stick, people. Anybody going to join this? I think one of the most noble things you could have joined. Just join it with me. Dead the conversation overseas local. No more. Jamaicans we are deal with. That's it. Jamaicans. Whether you're Jamaican or you're not a Jamaican. Simple. That's the only distinction we need to make. Simple as. Yeah, so that is my first segment for the day. The editorial. It's going to be the longest one. The rest of the show will be chopped up a bit shorter. Let me go through the comment section because I'm sure people have some thoughts. Definitely was talking for a long, long while. So, yeah, man. Chorus, up. Big up yourself. Cyan, big up yourself as well. Working and listening. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Put in the earpiece and not disturb the co-worker them, you know. I make a mad run, you know. Later, I check out the rest of the show. All right, Fana, big up yourself. Big up yourself. As we say, your name will forward later because you are in the predictions pool, you know. Bless up, float. What go on? Chorus, I don't trust the newspapers. That's true, man. Can't trust them. Do your own research. Blessings and respect, JG, and all the man them in the chat. Big up yourself, Fitzroy Grizzle. The man, Cranky Live. Big up yourself. Yeah, man. Great show last night, Cranky. I had to watch the replay because I was busy during the show. But, yeah, man, I really enjoyed it, man. Really, really enjoyed it. I had this show planned for today, and I said, boy, Cranky kind of beat it last night. But, you know, different perspectives are always good. So I didn't want to change my whole plan for this show. So I still wanted to talk on it. And it's something that, you know, touched a place close to me. So I had to talk about it. But I really enjoyed the show and how you broke it down. And a lot of the callers as well. I have to big them up as well. Did the writer know that's only Paris, entire France? Yeah, man. That it pissed me off when I saw the Paris. Drew say, I like this title. Yeah, Drew. Them say the title is a thing, you know. So you have to, you know, disaster class. I think that was a good way to sum it up. Did I write a no? Yeah, I don't know if them never know. Local press is lost to the real world. Dunce business. Hey, man, I tell you. National head coach should not be responsible for football development. That should be on the local clubs. Simo has brought them bad. Yeah, well, you know, in all honesty, you know, Simo has had the title of technical director at one point. So another thing brought them bad. He was just functioning under the job that he had. It is less than because our bread is presumed to be butter. I'm watching delayed, but I wonder what percentage of the natives have a similar point of view to what is expressed in the editorial. Well, that is the case, you know, Sheridan. I'm telling you, I wouldn't say it's a fight, but it's a conversation that I have with some of my friends that still live in Jamaica, and they tend to let's just say they tend to be a little more apologetic to this kind of rhetoric, right? Because they say it's a point of view thing. Like if you were here, you would understand more where they're coming from. But I just don't believe in that. I don't think that's the truth. I just feel like our pride gets in the way of our better judgment, you know, and we want to just feel like we have something when we don't. Yeah, I just feel like that's what's going on. They play this tug of war mentally, like, but if I don't say this, then that simply means nothing else are no good. And that's not what we're saying. We're just saying there's levels to the good. You can be a good player, but you're just not good to the level that you need to be to represent the country right now. That's all. And the quicker we realize that, the quicker we can actually do something about it and try to improve them. If we keep on thinking that the players are there, then we're not going to think we need to change anything. But you can't be calling for sweeping changes and then want to put the same people that have gone through the same system into the national team. How that makes sense? It don't make sense. It don't make sense. It's not logical. Big up Sherman. One done. Lee Young say a beer man paid upon Fraziers whip. Hands on their hips after 10 minutes. Science say I think Fraziers showed a good account of themselves. Wow, so you see perspectives. Lee Young not pleased at all, say them tired. And Science say, yo, good account of themselves. So yeah. The local man, them a killer football. Just the way how they think. Telexta. Good day, Telexta. What go on? Yeah, man, big up. Open and smash that like button, That's the most important thing. Let me check it out. Come here. I pre All right. The likes are match the people in the building. So I could try to get it up to the 50 likes before the hour mark. So we need 15, we need about 14 more like people. Smash the like button. I think Mr. Ricketts not doing his job. You need to come out, talk about these things. It's one Jamaica, the man just lost star. Yeah, even in his rhetoric talking about the hire, saying, it's a lot of English-based players, so I want an English coach. Like, even just saying that, I don't even think if you understand what that even sound like, I don't think that sound the right way. Like, why even make that comment there? I don't know. I don't even think they realize how the words they say can, I don't think they understand. Why these dinosaurs don't develop Jamaica football. Look how long they are here. Long time. Yeah, man, one Jamaica. No more over nothing. Overseas, local. No. Jamaica. Jamaicans. Good talk, Jason, with you on that. Yeah, man, join that train there, man. One of the best train we could have ever start run. Jamaicans. No more this distinction between which part them born and all them something. The Jamaicans will say. If you left Jamaica, you're no longer Jamaican fully until they want money or something from you. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, the man them forward, just make sure to bring on a piece of the remittance we don't know. So the people them can say, all right, respect. Because you can't just forward and give your blood, sweat, and tears. That's not enough. I'm here for the best journalist ever. Yo, Giovanni, that's high praise, man. That's high praise. I wouldn't call myself a journalist still. But yeah, I did one interview on the channel and I got a lot of positive feedback from it. So yeah, who knows? Maybe it's something we do in the future still. Did Fraziers we play yet? Yeah, man, they played. We're gonna discuss that now. We're gonna segue the show away from this editorial and this thing because we're done with it for the day. When we can't bother, we had to go explode. Big up yourself, Dad. I know you're busy. CPL getting going. Great show, Jason Gooner TV. Look like my Akina drop far from the tree. Real talk, son. Bless up yourself. Yeah, man. It irked me, Daddy. It irked me. So I have to talk about it today, Star. I have to talk about it today. I don't understand some of them people and them reasoning, and them just need for exhibit a little more empathy and understand that, yeah, and the fact that some of the Jamaicans that have, migrated overseas, whether themselves or their family before them, people automatically assume is a easy road for them, The stories don't differ greatly with some of these players that represent us, Before them reach where them reach in a football, they were not in the best of situation, some of them. So I think people just assume, the path is an easy one. And it's not always the case for some of these players. So don't judge people. Don't judge. Talk to the people. Talk to them family members. Get to learn them. Because really and truly, them love the country. They really love the country. That's what I want to be in the future, a sports journalist and analyst, track and field commentator and football commentator. Big up yourself, Giovanni. Just stay at it. Make sure you keep reading those books because that's what will set you apart in this field, being able to speak and write well and to be understood. So that's the most important thing, Giovanni. Just stay at those books, man. Stay at those books and practice as well. Even though you're not hired by anybody yet, write articles on your laptop and you just write it on a piece of paper. Try to come up with titles for your segment that you're gonna do on your show or whatever the case is. Just practice, yeah, man, practice, and keep me aware of your progress. I always like to see people that know what they want to do and go for it. So yeah, man, keep me aware of how it go feel. All right, so next thing we're gonna touch on is the Jamaica under 14 team playing in the Challenger Series. This is being put on by CFU, obviously in tandem with CONCACAF, and yeah, I think that this team deserves a bit of attention. So first and foremost, I want to discuss the team itself. So I got a list of the players. I'm gonna put that on screen so you guys can see. Now, I'd be lying to you people if I knew, all of these players, who they are, what teams and clubs they play for. I don't know. I've only been able to watch 2 of the games, and seen highlights of all of them, but watch 2 games pretty much in full. And the first thing that I think is important is that this team, the composition of it at least. Is there a way I can block this from? Because I don't really want to. Okay, so I'll just read the names because I don't want to put certain things on the screen. So, all right. So there's Heron Lamy, and this is just the team from yesterday that played Aruba and won 5-0, right? So Heron Lamy was in goal. Rajan Small was the captain, number 5. Number 2, Trevon Bailey, or Ballin. Trevor Ballin. Number 8, Jaden Frame. Number 9, Carlando Morris. Number 10, Davian Clark. Number 12, Kenrick Brown. Number 15, Jaden Brown Hanniford. Number 16, Malik Wellington. Number 18, Samuel Taylor. And number 19, this tiny person, Alexavier Bailey. Then on the bench, we had Marco Dean Spencer, the goalkeeper. Number 3, Kyle Hussey. Number 4, Aldino Walters. Number 7, very good midfielder, Tevin Savage. Number 11, Kevin Holloway. Number 14, Kelvin O'Brown. Number 17, Javier Henry. And number 20, Kelvin DJ Brown. Now, Kelvin Brown, giant striker, scoring a lot of goals in this competition. I believe he's the young man that is either threatened to break Whisper's Pepsi record or did break it last year, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So, a few of the players I've heard rumblings about, but as I said before, people, I don't really know many of the players by name or anything. I just have had a chance to watch the team and just analyze how they're playing. And I must say, I have been impressed. I know that they're playing, Caribbean opposition, so they're not, facing the likes of Costa Rica, Mexico, USA, or any team of that nature. But I will say, not only the score lines have impressed me, but more than anything, just the patterns of play I've seen. They look like a team that, want to progress the ball through the thirds. Of course, we go direct at times because, with those strikers that we do have in this squad, it would be kind of stupid not to go direct some of the time because we do have, they're just big and strong and fast. So, at this age group, you're gonna get some joy from some of those if they're directed well and they make sense. But I think that the fact that they aren't going to that as the default way to play is promising, and I think the organization as well has been good. I believe they've only conceded 1 goal in the 4 games. So I must say that Andrew Peart, who is head coach of this team, is doing a pretty good job with them, I must say. I have heard that he only really had this group for about 2 to 3 weeks prior to going over to play this tournament and in Trinidad. And I found that to be a bit surprising. I know Andrew Peart is one of the ones that has been leading the charge as far as teaching coaching licenses. I know he did the C license. I believe he was one of the instructors for the recently concluded I think it was the C license that was recently concluded. I know he helps out with most of the teaching as well. And is the Glenmuir head coach with the Costa Cup team. So, you see the brand of football Glenmuir plays. It is a I would say for the Jamaican context, one of the better brands, I would say, themselves alongside Clarendon College, two of the teams that I, prefer to watch at the schoolboy level. So yeah, you can see his imprint on the team in terms of the style of play. But one thing that I thought was some interesting information that I was able to hear yesterday on I Am Sure Sports, big up yourself, Manning's man. Yeah, he was saying that the TDS coach, that's the talent development scheme that Jamaica is now running. Stefan Overy, of course, the father of former Mount Pleasant player, now Cavalier player, Kyle Overy. He is the one that has been working with this group. I would say basically towards the end of last year. So a lot of the structure that's in place, maybe not all the players, but a lot of the structure that's in place, I'm sure he would have been having a big hand in it. The cohesion you can see that players playing with, definitely you can see that, they have been under some decent amount of preparation, because there is a bit of a synergy that you see in the attack, especially, and also defensively. I mean, I know some of these games, I don't think we have been challenged like we could have been. I think the Trinidad game was a challenging game. I think it was St. Kitts, was also a pretty challenging game. They did pose some threats to us. Aruba, the 5-0 scoreline says one thing, but in the first half, I thought Aruba did pose a few questions as well. But we held firm, we held our shape well. And I just think organizationally, we look like a decent outfit with this setup. So I want to give kudos to everybody that's with this team. Head coach Andrew Peart, assistant coach Lewin Purser, team manager Sasha Gay Dunn, goalkeeper coach Robert Beckford, kit manager Omar Folks, and the physiotherapist Kayana Peart. And of course, special shout out to Mr. Overy as well for his yeoman's work that he's doing down at the center with the players that would have been involved in that TDS program, a lot of which are on this team that has gone to play this competition. So big ups to the young boys. As I said, the results are one thing, but I can say the analyst in me was pleased as well, because I thought that the brand of football that they were displaying was something that made me smile and was very good. Giovanni, if you want to get in touch, just Jason Gooner TV on IG, you can send me a message there and we can communicate from there. All right? Yeah, man. Do hear other countries in Caribbean think about Jamaica? They think we're full of it. Yeah, we are a proud people, right? And I think that pride sometimes gets in the way of our better judgment. I would like to know the age of number 19. Yeah, that kid, man. I mean, it's two of them, It's really the 19 and the 20, They're both giants. Big kids, man. Big kids. I think most of the players are 13, and would have like turned 14 maybe this summer or something like that. Because I think all of them basically will be eligible for the CONCACAF U14 next year. So I would think nobody would be older than 14 that's in this team. I believe there's only one player that is at 10, and the rest are 09s, I believe. No, can't be. I think no. There's only one player that's a 12, and then the rest are 10s and 11s. Yeah, I believe that's how it goes, something like that. I believe I heard the leader talking about that yesterday. Yeah, man, you guys keep smashing that like button. Don't forget that part. Very, very important. I know, maybe people might not know we're live in the day, but yeah, man, we had some time during the week this week, so I wanted to run out with some content for the people. Yeah. Yeah, but I believe Peter Mystic is probably 13, more than likely. Blessings, Jason Gooner. Bless up yourself, Triple E. Bailey was back to his usual self in the U14, missing chances after chances. Yeah, he did have quite a few misses, but he was lively the whole game for sure. But he was wasteful. It could have been more than 5 for sure. Once we got into the game, there were really no match for us. Early doors, Aruba looked like they could maybe pose a threat, but Jamaica nipped that in the bud pretty early still. So kudos to them, kudos to the staff and everybody involved with it. I thought that was a good showing so far, and we will continue to track them in that competition. So I believe they're going to move on to the semifinals now. So let's see. I'm just looking at the article to try to get the dates for you. Don't believe it starts until tomorrow. I know they've been playing every day, but I think they might get 1 day rest now. Let's see. Yeah, because we already booked our place there. But I'm trying to see who we're going to face. All right, see a few. Let me see. Fixture played at the Dwight York Stadium. You sure it wasn't Davian Clark get man of the match yesterday? And Bailey got it for the game before that? Because even though Clark bigger than Bailey, even not so big, you know. Okay, so it just say the runners-up of Group B. Semi-final set to kick off on Friday. All right, so we don't know who the runner-up of Group B is. Maybe today we'll find that out. So we'll finish top of the zone with the 12 points. And Trinidad go through with for the other spot. So see who we're facing at the next side of the bracket. We're going to face the runner-up. So we'll see how that go. I can't find a table anywhere. That's strange, isn't it? Anyhow, moving under 14. All right, let me see if anybody have any other questions about this before I move on. So, Jason, are the players from Jamaica? Yes, Michael Sadler. The players are, to my knowledge, all from Jamaica. Because they're all Jamaicans, no matter where they reside. But to your point, I know you're asking if they're like locally based. Yes. To my knowledge, all of them locally based. Only Young say it was Bailey. Okay. Because Davian did play good too. With that name, you're going to have trouble playing for Jamaica, Bailey. Well, maybe not, you know. There's a bonus segment at the end of the show, and we're going to talk about the Elder Bailey. I didn't put it in the title because people say when you do that, you run down things, you know. And like I already had a show set without that in there, I just never want to change my thumbnail and change my title and everything. So, I get some bonus coverage on that later, and whoever there can see it because I'm not put it on the title today. It's all right. I get genuine views because the take makes sense. I need to put the face, you know. Big up John PL. Just a big you up, you know. I say local press need to just give it up and just make you and BAM Sports go and do the thing because the man them say one thing, but them not highlight the things at the same time. It don't make no sense. It not add up. All right, so let's head to CONCACAF website now because I know that CONCACAF gonna have some information about the next topic on the docket, which is the Cavalier versus Mount Pleasant game, which was played at Sabina Park yesterday. Now, it was a home game for Mount Pleasant, and the first thing that I will say is what a contrast to the last time we saw matches played at Sabina Park. Man, it was completely dead in there. There was no one there. That's the first thing I noticed, man. There's nobody in the stadium. Anybody who was there, Jean-Pierre fan, did you go to the game? I don't see Brian in the chat right now, but did you go to the game, Jean-Pierre fan? And can you give me a somewhat of an idea of how many people would have been there? Because it never looked good on TV and it never sound good either. Believe me. Yeah, it never sound the best at all. It never sound the best at all, trust me. Oh, you wasn't there? Nah, man, you don't have to apologize. If you couldn't go, you couldn't go. But, brother, it looked like you and everybody else couldn't go. Yeah, I was thinking that too, you know. Because I see the lights them forward and late and it looked lit up, it looked fine. So I don't know why the game couldn't start a little later. Maybe it was just the timing. But there was no other Caribbean Cup game last night. So I don't know. We could have do it later. Some more fans could have forward. But brother, it never looked good at all, man. The turnout was poor. I mean, we know Cavalier is not the most well supported team in Jamaica, but Mount Pleasant, it goes to show. I mean, how disgruntled is Mount Pleasant with the movements of the club. Because the people them down a stush in the bush, just staying at the bush, them never forward. Never forward at all yesterday. So is that a sign of what's to come this season for the support of Mount Pleasant? I mean, are they that disgruntled that them think the game that wasn't important? It's only 4 group games them get, you know. And I know I hear a lot of fans thinking is 2 games you're going to play against every team, you know. But that was 4 group games. So, you know, every game is very important if it's just 4 games. So right now they're behind the 8 ball, 3 games left, no points. Top 2 go through the group. Cavalier, as you can see on screen, won the match 2-0. Goals from the penalty spot, Christopher Ainworth and Shaquille Stein after a brilliant cross from Jalmara Calvin with a glancing header to make it 2-0 in the 25th minute. And funnily enough, I thought that this time where they scored the 2 goals was probably Mount Pleasant's best part of the game. You know, yeah, they conceded the penalty, but really and truly, Cavalier was just killing them with a long ball over Topi. And Steen or Calvin or whoever was chasing it was giving him problems. You know, they were playing the diagonal long ball and they were targeting Topi, especially. Wanted to get him to turn and run. And, you know, that's where you saw his deficiencies come right to the fore. So, yeah, Mount Pleasant going down 2-0. Let's analyze the game, though. So, as I said, they got those 2 goals for me in what was Mount Pleasant's better spell in the game. You know, not that much incision or cutting open Cavalier, but just territorially was having more of an advantage, more comfortable in possession, I thought. But Cavalier really and truly had a game plan, and like most we have come to notice that most Rudolph speed teams execute the game plan pretty well. Stick to task, well organized. You know, we know that they have had a mass exodus with some of the defense very recently, right before this game, actually, Ming and Irving heading over to Mount Pleasant. But, you know, you plug and play. That's the system at Cavalier. They bring up players from the youth program. They have players that were there getting minutes before, maybe not starters, that can shift into the starting lineup now. You know, J. Lloyd Samuel will take up one of those roles. So, you know, they kind of were able to just slot and plug in and speed again with a clear plan and execution. And it was an execution of Mount Pleasant. It was a 2-0 in the end. It was pretty comfortable, if we're being honest. I mean, Jadine White did have to make a few saves in the second half, but, you know, all in all, I think Mount Pleasant would be very disappointed with their display. Just not enough cutting edge displayed on the day. And I think too many of their players were just slow to get to the races on the day. So let's look at the starting lineup. And we had Harold Thomas, of course, taking over, was a part of the youth setup at Mount Pleasant in the academy side of things, moving over to the men's side now to coach the Premier League team after Tapa's departure and all his backroom staff. So, you know, a coach that is under immense pressure due to the fact that they have been labeled the Chelsea of the Jamaica Premier League based on how many incoming signings they would have accrued. So, yeah, let's look at the starting lineup. Tafari Chambers got the nod over Shaquan Davis, which for me was a bit of a head scratcher. Unless Shaquan is, you know, forwarding back from some kind of injury, I would think that he would be wanting to get the starting role in a competition like this. But Tafari Chambers got the nod yesterday. Captain was the normal captain, Sule Makala. Fitzroy Cummins, Tope, and Shaquille Dyer formed a back 3. McCullough really was playing more in the midfield. He was with Jashawn Anglin in there. They had Rios Ferreira, who came from MBU, over to them in the midfield as well. Kimoni Bailey was on one side, and then you had Alex Marshall on another side, and then you had Daniel Green and Nicholas Nelson playing up front. So kind of like a 3-5-2 basically is what it looked like to me on the pitch. Green had a bit more freedom in that striking role to roam. Marshall popped up pretty much anywhere, and Bailey stayed kind of more on one of the flanks. So yeah, a bit of rotation in the system, and I think something that's going to be definitely a work in progress for them moving forward. I did not think that the combinations really clicked, and that's what you would probably expect from a team with so many incomings. Now, the coach clearly was unhappy with how the team was going, because in the 43rd minute he made a triple substitution. So it's never a good sign when the coach makes any substitution in the first half, much less three. And the timing of the substitution was very strange as well. I mean, I know that Shaquille Stein of Cavalier was down for quite a while, and so maybe the coach was thinking there's a lot of injury time to be played in the first half. But with 2 minutes left before injury time in the first half, surely you would just want the team that started to just continue at that point. He did not go for that. Topi, who was struggling already on a yellow card, was substituted, as well as Kimoni Bailey and Nicholas Nelson. They both were substituted at that time. And then coming in for them at that time was the striker from Cameroon, Rayan Mbogin. Devante Campbell for Kimoni Bailey, and Odin Pennycook replaced Topi. Now, when Pennycook came in, they slid Cummins to the central area of the three, kept Dyer on the left side, and put Fitzroy Cummins now more to the right, which I thought kind of balanced the defense a bit more. And that ploy of the long ball to make Topi chase really wasn't a factor after that point. I thought the midfield of Mount Pleasant in the first half, while they controlled territorially, really didn't have enough incision, didn't have enough connection for me. Just a lot of recycling of possession, not many line breaking passes. I really feel like Marshall and Green and all the attacking players were kind of starved of service. And it was just due to, I think a lack of cohesion, and also kudos has to go to Cavalier. I think when it comes to blocking the channels, blocking the spaces, that's something that you can tell that Rudolph Speed works with a lot with Cavalier, because they're not the easiest team to break down, and they tend to give up opportunities mainly from set pieces or from the odd long shot. Very rarely do you see them just get broken down and played through to give a gilt-edged chance, unless they're just not on it on the day. And yesterday, you could tell that they were switched on from minute one as far as defense was concerned. Their starting lineup looked like this: Jadine White, Alexavier Gooden, the youngster, getting the start, Richard King, Giovanni Leng, and Lloyd Smith. That was the back four. Then in midfield now you had Shamar Watson and Dwayne Allen. Then you had Jerome McCleary, Ainsworth Steen, and Jalmaro Calvin. So for me, it looked more like a 4-4-2 for them. You had Ainsworth one side, McCleary one side, Allen and Watson in the midfield, and then Calvin and Steen kind of playing strikers. Calvin would pop up on the right, and Steen, for the most part, would pop up on the left. So good rotation as well. You could see them picking up the inside and the outside channels and utilizing spaces well to get their opportunities off in that first half. Then the second half was more of a, okay, let's just make sure we keep this result. I think the 3 points in the end of the day was the most important thing. Mr. Speed will know that his team is not that far in their progression as a team in terms of fitness. So you could see that the handbrake was on for a bit of that second half. Of course, Steen was down for a while the first half after getting that second goal. He was substituted off in the first half, and Kyle Overy came in for him. And then later in the game, we saw Jaheim Fraser enter the game, and Kawin Thompson taking the place of McCleary and J. Lloyd Smith. And then Orlando Russell also came on extremely late as well in the match for Cavalier. So, Russell and Thompson came on late for McCleary and Calvin. Yeah. Jaylard Smith was out in the 68th for Fraser and that first half substitute. So 4 subs used by Cavalier. And when you look at the Cavalier bench as well, Barkley didn't get the start today. You see Busy Atkinson, I know he's nursing something. So, Speed probably had him there in reserve just in case, but didn't need him. Jordan Redison, another youngster coming up. Chad James at Cavalier, formerly at Mount Pleasant. So one of the ones that went the other way this time, just like Kyle Overy. Both of those struggled to get many appearances last season. James still not getting an appearance yesterday. Jaheim Fraser, youngster as well. Saw him last season in the Premier League getting back in it, and Malik White and Orlando Russell. Russell we saw last year. White, another youngster that has made the transition up to the first team. Now look at the difference in bench. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 on Cavaliers bench for a total of 20 players in the squad. Now look at Mount Pleasant on the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So that's 12 players. So, a total of 23 in their roster to 20. And, there are even players that aren't on this list that I'm sure are on the books. So, yeah, Mount Pleasant, the Chelsea of the Premier League in Jamaica, and Cavalier, I'm not going to call them the Man City of the Premier League, but they did beat them 2-0, similar to Manchester City beating Chelsea. So Mount Pleasant pretty much have everything to play for in the next go-around of this competition, because as we know, there's only 4 games in the group and the top 2 go through. So if that is the case, then that game next week against Arnett becomes crucial. That game will be played next week, Tuesday, at Sabina Park at 6 o'clock again. So another early kickoff. Hopefully the Arnett Massive can forward out to this one and make somewhat of an atmosphere, because to me that was one of the low points for me was just the turnout. I didn't expect it to be a massive turnout, but I really wasn't expecting it to be that dead either. So, hopefully the Arnett Massive can forward out. Mount Pleasant clearly a bit disillusioned with what's going on with their club, and the turnout was a lot less than what we saw in the JPL playoffs. Not that I expected the same, but I really didn't expect such a big drop off either. So that is it for that one. And again, Mount Pleasant next week have everything to play for. Everything to play for. They need to get a result there. As you know, there are 3 Jamaican teams in the group, so only 2 Jamaican teams could potentially get to. We have a Haitian team playing their home games in Jamaica, and then we have 1 team from Trinidad in the group as well. So, we'll see how this plays out, but the next game will be Mount Pleasant versus Arnett in our kind of Sabina Park segment of things, right? So we'll be looking forward to letting you know what happens in that one next week, all right? Yeah, man. Look like the local man them have taken Mr. Speed coaching clinics. Topi was struggling to run yesterday, that is for sure. Bless up yourself, Umzo. How go on, bro? Yeah, man, we're outside, man. We are discuss some little topics to do with the Jamaican football that are out there right now. All right, the next thing I want to do, people, is shouldn't have bother take this off of the screen, because I want to look at the Fraziers whip match versus Alajuelense out of Costa Rica. So let's go back to the CONCACAF site and let's pull up the competitions for the women, and let's look at the W Women's Championship. That is not what we want to look at. We want to look at women's club competitions. There it goes, W Champions Cup. All right, so I think we have an article. Yep. All right, so Alajuelense kicks off Champions Cup with win. This match was yesterday as well. They won 5-0 over Fraziers Whip to kick off the 2024-25 group stage on Tuesday at the Estadio Alejandro Moreira Sota in Alajuela, Costa Rica. The opening match in Group A began with home side LD Alajuelense looking to take the first 3 points of the campaign, as Kenya Ranhel struck in the 17th minute in one of the first dangerous attempts of the night. Fraziers Whip earned a free kick in the 48th minute, with Sashana Campbell placing the set-piece attempt over the crossbar as the teams remained scoreless into halftime. That free kick was from way out. So Sashana I don't know, you must have banged them in a training or something. I don't know. So yeah, Jamaica got to halftime 0-0 miraculously, and then in the second half, the floodgates opened in the 68th minute when Maria Paula Couto scored the first goal of the W Champions Cup group stage. Natalia Mills got the ball into the back of the net 2 minutes later in the 62nd minute, sending a one-touch volley to the top left corner to double the advantage. And that was not a one-touch volley to the top left corner either. I don't know what I'm talking about there. Kenya Ranhel scored the third of the night in the 65th, and LD Alajuelense's third in 5 minutes, shooting to the left corner of the goal. Angela Messen, a second half substitution, scored the fourth goal in the 77th, converting inside the penalty area. And then Messen scored again in almost a carbon copy cross on the ground, finish on the ground, bracing the 81st after receiving the ball from Mills in the center of the box to extend the lead by 5. With the win, they obtained its first 3 points in the tournament. Costa Rican side will retake the field in the WCC when it hosts Gotham on September 5. Fraziers will travel to meet Monterrey in its next encounter on September 5 in Mexico. So it won't get any easier for Fraziers Whip at all. All right, so, and I'm sorry to Fraziers Whip because I spelled the title wrong in the thing. I just realized that. So my bad. To Fraziers Whip, no disrespect meant. Wait, say you give him the name Omar Fowling. Well, him live up to the slope yesterday. You never stream around this time. Yeah, me have some time in the day. Some say me run out with some content because later on might have a little more busy with the family. And also I was thinking I might live stream the Columbus versus Philadelphia match tonight. Cause them reach Leagues Cup semifinal. So, and it's a single leg match. So I might if I do content tonight, it was probably gonna be a live stream. So I wanted to get some more discussion based content out today as well. So yeah, man. That's the reason for this different time today. Had some time today, so I use it. I use it up. Yeah, so for me, Fraser's Whip. Let's see if we can actually get the lineup and stuff on screen for everybody. Matches. So this is the match center. So let's see how it looked on the field for Fraser's Whip. First half substitutions again. Brianna Crosby had to come on. And then at the start of the half, we made one more sub. And then to end the game, we made a couple more as well. So let's look at the lineup, though, see if we recognize any of these names for us on the starting lineup. Of course, I don't know many of the Alajuelense players. I think Ranhel is a national player. I believe Mills is a national player as well. I think I'm missing out a couple others, but forgive me on that, people. But for the Fraser's Whip team, that Italia Robinson in goal. Tonashe Hamilton, Sashana Campbell, we know her from the Reggae Girls. Nevigale Abel, we also know her from the Reggae Girls when we had so the Arne Gardens coach as the head coach, and we went to play in the Gold Cup qualifiers. Abel was on that team. Tavia Gale, Kershaw Thomas, Gilisha Gilbert, Xavier Gilbert is his name. Suen Gregory, Destiny Powell, of course, we know. One of the younger players that, you know, is one that we've seen coming through the youth ranks with the Reggae Girls. Krishana Reed, Latoya Doheny, that was the starting lineup. And then on the bench, we had Alicia Thaxter, Kiana Tolo, Natasha Douglas, Shakira Richards, Danisha Rattry, Daniel Beckford, Shevin Blair, Tashika Small, Tashel Davis, and Brianna Crosby. So, where is my girl? She never play. So, I'm to Atkinson. I want to Atkinson and Buckley up on the side. Well, hopefully them get an opportunity somewhere, like at a college or overseas at an academy or something. Because we heard Hubert Busby talking the other day, and his sentiments were so different from the editorials that we just read in terms of him coming to the grips with the fact that, you know, the local girls, while they need to basically acquire experience overseas to be able to compete for a place in the senior reggae girls team moving forward, because the level of the players that we have coming in to represent us, the level of Jamaicans around the world, is just a higher level. And this is something that I think will help to perhaps show people that there is something in regards to levels and difference in levels, and we're gonna be able to see it in this competition. I mean, this team right here that we played from Costa Rica, they are not going to be the toughest test we face. We saw right there, Monterrey is the next team that will play in this competition, and believe me, Monterrey is going to be a sterner test than even this Alajuelense side was. It's not going to get any easier for this team, and in a sad way, that 5-0 flattered us a bit, because it really could have been more. And I believe that it just wasn't more because of the lack of clinicalness, or the lack of clinical nature of the players on the other team. Once we began to tire in that first half, towards the second half starting, the writing was on the wall. The shape got all out of whack. The left back and the right back really tucked way too centrally, just giving up the wings. Just a lot of things that I saw that was alarming. Just the overall shape of the team over the time and throughout the game, and just how far behind we really look compared to a team like Costa Rica, who in the international scheme of things, we're probably neck and neck with them, and most would argue that when we have our full complement of the females, especially the senior girls, we should be beating Costa Rica. But you can see that Costa Rica is improving their local level, because the organization and the quality of the other team was definitely on display. And for me, it could have been worse. And I feel like the game against Monterrey, we should be looking for something similar, because I just don't believe that these girls are prepared enough to face the challenge of this competition. But look, you have to start somewhere. You have to learn, and hopefully, this is just a reality check to the developers of the female side of football in Jamaica, that yes, we have a league running, but that can't be the only goal. We have to actually have a league with some quality in it going on, and how can we get there? Because I just feel like with the similar to the schoolboy setup, the girls in Jamaica don't play enough football. The leagues are too short. I mean, I know, it gets kind of cumbersome to play the same team 4 times, but who cares? Make it a 25 to 30 game league, so that these girls can get the requisite reps, build their fitness up. Yeah, I think that's the only way they're going to start to develop some more. But yeah, this is something that I think is going to probably be par for the course. When you look at the actual group that they're in, they have Monterrey, Tigres, Gotham FC, and Alajuelense. So arguably, the team they just played is probably the weakest team out of all the teams, and they got 5. So yeah, I don't, it's not going to be pretty viewing for Jamaican fans, but at the end of the day, it's what you call a reality check, and we made our bed, so we have to deal with the consequences, Oh, I said do the match later, though. Yeah, man. As long as it work out with the fam, so I have no conflict, I'm going to do a live stream for it. Yeah, man. The Fraziers whip will get a lot of whipping. Yeah, man. Fraziers whipped. They're gonna get some whippings, man. But yeah, at Jampiel, that's the one thing. You have to look at it glass half full at some point. You can't just beat. But yeah, that's it. The experience gained is great. Seeing how other outfits conduct their business, seeing the level required. And like I said, it's not going to get any easier. They got the 2 Mexican clubs to play, and they have the NWSL team to play as well. So it's going to be tough, man. It's going to be really, really tough. It's only the beginning. D'Lo not playing for Philly. Yeah, he came off of the bench in the last game and took a penalty and converted it. So let's see tonight if him start or not. Then playing Columbus, so the coach might go for the back 3, but let's see. If if they play the back three, he's been starting, but the coach prefer the back four. So we'll see what he goes with tonight. But if as Lord willing and family willing, I'm not a conflict in that regard, then we'll definitely run run the live stream. Blake does look in form again. He had a big game in the quarterfinal game for sure. Made a lot of key saves. All right, so we're running right through nicely, and I want to leave some space for the bonus segment. So next thing we want to do, people, is a bit more happy story. Actually, a much more happy story, if we're being honest with ourselves. This one has to do with the last thing on my title, and that is Bonnie Shaw taking home the PFA Player of the Year at the PFA Awards yesterday. See if I can find, so let's see if this article is connected. Okay, so I want to go ahead and show you the article that was posted by the PFA themselves, with a nice picture that I used on the thumbnail today. Khadija looking like the next president of something. All right, so Khadija Shaw wins PFA Women's Player of the Year. Big up yourself, Bunny. Nice big trophy you get on the mantle as well. All right. Manchester City's Khadija Bonnie Shaw has won PFA Player of the Year after an incredible 2023-24 WSL campaign. Shaw ended the season as the league's top scorer with 21 goals, including 3 hat-tricks and 3 assists in just 18 appearances, beating her tally from the season prior by 1. The Jamaican international picks up the award for the first time and becomes the third City player to receive the prize, with Lucy Brands and Izzy Christensen as previous club winners. Shaw clinches the main title, with City teammates Lauren Hemp and Yui Hasegawa also making the top 6 shortlist, alongside Chelsea trio Erin Cuthbert, Niam Charles, and Lauren James. And I heard that Lauren James actually was the one edged out for that title of the PFA Women's Player of the Year. Now, why this one is probably extremely special to Khadija and to most players that win these awards is this is actually voted on by your peers. So this have nothing to do with the journalists or vloggers like myself, nothing like that. This is all the players, all the persons that you play against every week in, week out. So I think this one is treasured. Not that all the others wouldn't be, but I think the players get a even more vindication when they take home these awards. So I want to say, Bonnie, big up yourself, Bonnie. Big up yourself. You're really flying the flag for Jamaica high, and we have so much respect for you. We can't wait to see what you do this season. You see, you scored 18 last year in the league. No, you scored 21 last year in the league, up from 20. So I know how your thing setting. Yeah, say a 22 game, 22 goal I want this season. Yeah, man. Hopefully you can stay healthy the entire 22 games, and mixing with those, you give us some wicked performances with the regular girls as well, because I do feel like this manager can get the best out of the bunch that he's gonna have to work with. It. At least I enjoy the mindset that he has. I think that he has the right mindset going into this. So I look forward to what you bring to Manchester City this season and also to Jamaica. And we just want to give you your respect and your flowers while you can smell them, right? So Khadija Bonnie Shaw, we had the big debate. I remember it was sometime last year where, in terms of accolades and what she has done, is Khadija Shaw the greatest Jamaican footballer of all time? And many people were not feeling that, saying it has to be separated. You can't put the woman with the man, because if she was playing the men's game, obviously she wouldn't reach anywhere. And, that's not the argument. You have to put it in the context of what she plays. She's a woman footballer. So when you factor in what she's done in women's football, the awards she has won, the accolades, the leading goal scoring, what she has done in her career, have we had another player achieve such status? Have we ever had a Ballon d'Or shortlisted player on the men's side? I don't know. The argument was leveled that the female game is in its infancy stages, so it's a bit easier to reach it where she has reached on the world stage. I think that's a crack of crap, because the same things that we complain about in development locally in the country, Khadija Shah went through that, literally. It wasn't until she went to Tennessee that she was overseas. Now, she might have gone overseas with Jamaican teams, but not under the tutelage of any other coaches. She was always in the Jamaican system. So it's possible, people. It's possible. You put your head down, you work hard enough, you expand, you get the experience, which what Busby was talking about. Now she's a shoe-in. You can't pick a Jamaica team and you don't pick her. And she grew up right there in Jamaica. So there you go. So Khadija Shah, big up yourself. We're so proud of you. And we're just thankful that you are a Jamaican and you can, shed such a great light on the country with your achievements and how you overall carry yourself as well. Definitely a role model for girls to look up to, and guys for that matter who want to play football. It doesn't matter that she's a girl. She's a great person to model yourself after. Went and got her education, decided that football is something that she could do professionally, and she went for her goals. Yep. Went to France, wasn't very familiar, put her head down, went from stride to stride till eventually she's the leading goal scorer in France. Manchester City runs calling, she goes there, she's the leading goal scorer in England. So, yeah, man, nothing but praise from me to Miss Shaw, and just very, very proud of what you have been able to accomplish. And we know that it's just early days for you. You have much more to accomplish in the game, and we will have a front row seat to all of it, and we will be bigging you up when it is time to big you up, which is pretty much going to be all the time, because you have proven to be somebody that has set a certain standard, and I see no reason for it to fall. All right, so big up yourself, Khadija Shah. Just wanted to make sure we highlight you on your incredible achievements. All right, so big up to Khadija Shah. All right, so real quick, people, I did promise you a bonus segment, but before we get to that, right, that's going to be the last thing we do today. Before we get to that, though, I just want to revisit. We did an English Premier League preview show for week 1, and more than likely, this is going to be just a review segment. Really quickly, just want to talk about a few of the fixtures that occurred. And we're going to get on screen the fixtures so we can just go through and discuss some of the games, and then we'll definitely let you know how the pool went for the week as far as those who took part in picking the winners for the games with the score lines and everything. All right, so let's just pull up on the screen here the results of the first week. Obviously starting from the Friday game, Manchester United and Fulham. But let me just pull it up onto the screen so you guys can follow along with me. All right, so this is the first week of action. So Man United beat Fulham 1-0. We kind of discussed that on the preview show as well, how that one went, because that happened on Friday. Then we had the Saturday morning game, Ipswich hosting Liverpool. I thought Liverpool did well in this one. I thought Ipswich had a good first half. Liverpool, didn't play terribly in the first half, but I think Ipswich just maybe, played at their optimum level. They were really playing really well. Couldn't quite get on the score sheet though, and I remember saying at halftime they're gonna rule that because Liverpool at some point is gonna take it up a gear, and they definitely did in that second half. In that 5-minute stretch, Jota getting a goal, Salah getting a goal as well, and then really and truly could have had more, but were a bit wasteful. And 2-0 could have been 3-4 on the day. Ipswich definitely will look back and say, boy, we have to take advantage when we have any kind of upper hand against any of these teams in the Premier League. We'll have to convert that success into goals, or else we're going to have a long season and it's going to be an uphill battle for them. So 2-0 to Liverpool on the day. Then we had Forest and Bournemouth. This game, I thought, different teams looked like they were going to win at different times of this game. I think Forest, after getting the goal, which was for me against the run of play, honestly. Once they got the goal, though, I thought they had a good stretch of time. And then Bournemouth, I thought, ended off the game better, getting closer and closer, had a goal disallowed at one point as well. Semenyo in the end getting that goal from pretty much a rebound off of the goalkeeper, and he was there to slot it home to make it 1-1. So the points shared, I think on the balance of play, probably the right result. One could argue if you're a big Forest fan, they could have gotten the winner. Bournemouth fan would have said the same. But I think the point was probably the fairest result. Then we had Everton and Brighton. This was the most lopsided result of the week. Brighton winning 3-0 at Goodison Park. So my prediction early on of Everton to be in the relegation zone looked like not a bad shout after the first week. Everton, I thought, after a decent start to the game, honestly, not getting anything out of it though in terms of on the score sheet, they definitely fell victim to what Ipswich did, where once Brighton got into the game and started to really impose themselves and their style, Everton really didn't have answers for them. And Mitoma looks back to his somewhat close to what his best would look like in terms of fitness. Definitely looks fit. I think Welbeck started off the campaign very well. Pedro didn't get on the score sheet or assist, but I thought he looked good as well, looked healthy. The gentleman that came over, Minte, looks to be another threat, basically another Adingra, another fast, tricky winger that can set up goals and score as well. So yeah, I think Brighton with their new players look decent. Weaver did have a mistake in the game in midfield, but I thought other than that, he looked solid, looked like a good replacement for Pascal Gross. Maybe not as dynamic, but definitely one that will keep the tempo going. So yeah, Brighton, under their new young manager, got the 3-0 victory and are now top of the Premier League by virtue of that. Everton, as I said, Ashley Young was never going to be a good day for him going up against Mitoma on that side of the pitch, and had to bring him down on the last man to get that red card. Now, if he's starting the first game, you have to worry about Everton's options on the bench besides him, because he'll be gone now for three games for that straight red card. Then so Everton a lot of work to do. Brighton looking good. Let's see if they sustain that. Newcastle beat Southampton 1-0. Newcastle, for me, probably the deserved victors. I think Southampton had decent spells in the game. They were up to 10, up to that man advantage. Shar getting sent off for what I thought was a ridiculous red card. I mean, there was a bit of a coming together between the two players, but Shar did not headbutt him. Brent Burton Diaz went down like he was headbutt, and the coach and the VAR, nobody saw fit to change that call that the ref made on the pitch. So Shar going to be out for 3 games as well. Not the best for them. He's always a key to their defense, especially with Batman not being around right now. So we'll see how they kind of mix and match in their defense to make it work. But in the end, they were the deserved winners, even though they were down to 10 men. I thought they fashioned enough in the game to get the result. And once they did get that goal through Joe Linton, basically they were able to hold Southampton at bay for the most part and come up with that 3 points. Then you have Arsenal and Wolves. This 2-0 scoreline, I think, is a bit deceiving. I think Wolves definitely on another day would have scored. I think Riders pulled off an excellent save, especially for that header for Larson in the first half. I do think that Arsenal's first half was pretty decent, though, other than that chance that they gave up to Larson. I think they kept them at arm's length. I think we had enough opportunities to make, more than one goal. It was only a 1-0 lead at halftime, and for me, it should have been 2-3-0 at that point. But yeah, some of the lack of the clinicalness of some of the attackers of Arsenal reared its ugly head in the first half, especially Havertz, who I thought had a really good game, but still, could have been better in front of goal at times to definitely extend that lead. But the star boy Saka came through for us, and that was after a spell of pressure by Wolves, I'd say from about the 55th minute straight until Saka's goal. So a good 20-minute stretch where Wolves was definitely on top. Raya didn't have to make any saves as difficult as the one in the first half, but definitely was on alert. A long shot from, I remember, Partey losing a ball in midfield. It fell to Aït-Nouri, who was playing a very inverted role in midfield today, or on Saturday, excuse me. And he whistled one past the post that I don't think Raya would have gotten to. So I think Wolves did enough. We definitely had another giveaway right to Cunha, and it was right before Saka's goal. Where Cunha makes it 1-1 there, and then it's panic station. So, in the end, the 2-0 looks nice, but if we're being honest with ourselves as Arsenal fans or analysts or anything, Wolves should definitely feel decent about that game, because I thought, the lack of Cunha from the start held them back. Once he gets fully fit, that attack with the new loan signing of Larson could still look good, and I'm sure they're going to put that Pedro Neto money to use. So I'm sure they'll get a winger in before the window closes to bolster it as well. So, yeah, Chan Wang, Larson, Mateus Cunha, can add a winger to kind of replace Neto, I think they'll be okay. What really was impressive as well was the midfield. Lemina and João Gomez still around, so they haven't really lost anything there. And the two central defenders looked okay. I thought Totti Gomez was a bit ropey at times, but Mosquera, even though he kept up some real questionable antics in the game, that we're not even going to talk about because I don't think it deserves it. But yeah, Mosquera, we are pre-you. We don't know where you're depend, brother. But you actually had a good game otherwise. So yeah, if you can get that out of yourself, then yeah, we're gonna watch you and see how you do. The Colombian that just came over to Wolves, basically to replace Max Gilman. So Arsenal 2-0 got the job done, 3 points, but definitely a lot of improvement needed. I think Partey needs to prove to me that he can play 90 minutes and keep his focus, because the second half performance, especially towards the middle and the middle part of it, was not good enough from Partey. So yeah, we love the physicality he brings to the midfield, but Jorginho mentality, focus might make him the more viable option. We lose something physically, as I said, but Partey just needs to prove to me that he can concentrate for 90 minutes, and then I won't feel so bad. But yeah, let's see. Mikel Merino, hopefully over the line soon. Does that move Rice back to the 6? Let's see what Arteta has up his sleeve for that. All right, Aston Villa and West Ham. So this game now, I thought it was an interesting one because I think Aston Villa were supposed to be the victors. I will give them that. But I think West Ham did enough and had enough little half chances or opportunities that maybe they could have drew the game. And then when you look at the way they conceded that second goal, a good move from Aston Villa, but nothing ridiculous to get that freedom to get that goal. I just feel like the West Ham defense just was not quite in sync as they began to tire. And yeah, I think that the new partnership of Kilman and Mavropanos will definitely need some work. I know they have Todibo waiting in the wings, who did come on late. What will that pairing look like? Will it be a Todibo and Kilman? I think Kilman probably will start based on the money and the investment, and I think he's a good player. Mavropanos, the jury is still out. I know they have gotten rid of their longtime player there, Zuma, and I don't know if I think Aguirre might be nursing something now. So right now it's gonna be if Todibo can get up to speed fast enough, and maybe the coach just didn't want to play two new players, but he's a new coach, so why not? I mean, just play who is the best players, and to me, Todibo would be the one to partner Kilman moving forward. But let's see what the coach thinks with that. But yeah, this game right here ended 2-1 for Aston Villa. This was one of the ones that I got wrong on the day. I went for West Ham to win this one at home because maybe I was using history too much. You know what I mean? Yeah, maybe I was using history too much. I knew the history, and Aston Villa had not beaten them there for, I think it's like 17 years or something like that. So I guess eventually they had to, and Saturday was the day. So big win to start the season for Aston Villa. Of course, they have that huge matchup where they're hosting Arsenal this weekend. So look forward to the preview show this week to see how I think that one is gonna go. All right, moving right along now to the fixtures. On Sunday morning, we had the Brentford and Crystal Palace game. Of course, Brentford ended up 2-1 victors. We had the sad play where our baller Ethan Rupert Pinnock had the own goal, but it did not cost his team too much as they were able to emerge victorious and get that second goal. Crystal Palace, I would probably feel a bit hard done by some of the refereeing decisions. I think Eze had a brilliant free kick goal disallowed for reasons unknown to me. But yeah, it was a tough one for Crystal Palace. I think, Mateta kind of coming back from his exertions at the Olympics didn't help. He didn't really look at the same in the first half there. Coach tried to give him the chance to play, but, you could see pulling him off at halftime, it wasn't really going to work. So yeah, I think Crystal Palace will improve. I think Brentford, as long as they can keep, winning these home games from time to time against these teams that are relatively around their area of the table, I think they'll be safe again this year. But they will have their moments this season where it looks like they're going to have some struggles, I do believe. But I think in the end, they will stay up and be safe. All right, so that's Brentford and Crystal Palace. Then we had Man City and Chelsea. So Chelsea, have been in the news this week. A lot of the players that, would have been, veterans of the squad, been basically sent out to pasture. The likes of Raheem Sterling, Ben Chilwell, who else? Trevor Chalobah, some of the players that have been around this Chelsea team, gone to the wayside. And, the coach basically saying, look, I have too many players in the squad. There's no way I can work with all of them to move through the season. And it looks like he has made his choice on a few of them. And, Raheem Sterling being one of them. While, I guess to some it is shocking. I just feel like at times Raheem has just looked a bit disinterested at Chelsea. Earlier in last season, I thought he was one of the few bright sparks. And then once some of the players came back, Cole Palmer kind of role increases in the team. It's like he kind of saw Raheem go further and further into this shell and, just wasn't really expressing himself on the field as much as we know he can. So, yeah, I just don't think that it's been working out at Chelsea for him. And yeah, it's definitely telling that the coach has made the decision to banish him to basically training with the youth teams and not training with the first team squad anymore. So the window is still open. So for his sake, hopefully he can find a move that makes sense for everybody involved. 300K a week is going to be a tough sell to most clubs. So it's going to have to be a club with the financial capability to even take on something like that. So we'll see what pans out, but it's not looking good for him as far as his future with Chelsea, at least not under this manager that they currently have. So we'll see how that plays out. But Man City got the 2-0 win. No Rodri, no problem. Kovacic stepped into the role, did really well. That Rico Lewis had a really good game on that right side, inverting into midfield. I think, he kind of, Vardiol played a bit more reserved, kind of stayed back, and it was a back three when they were, in extended possession, while Lewis went into many spaces trying to build up into the attack. I think the first game is a good sign for their wing signing Savinho. Thought he looked really good before he had to come off injured, but Pep has come out and said it's nothing too serious. So good news for all City fans there. I think he's going to be a key factor if City are able to get that 5th straight title. I think Savio and Doku, now you can have that balance of, really tricky wingers on both wings at once. And that's what the coach opted to go for in this one as well. Jack Grealish still banished to the bench. Foden just back, not quite fully 100 in terms of what Pep Guardiola's thinking would be. So, yeah, we'll see how Man City progress. But, Man City is a team that go from strength to strength. So if you're an opponent of Man City, right now is the time to face them. They have Rodri out, not sure when he'll return. And typically they do tend to start off in second gear, which I think they did win this match pretty much in second gear as well. So got the job done, 2-0 away from home. So in the grand scheme of things, where Chelsea season might go later down the road, this might look like a bigger win. But I think right now both teams not really quite where they will be once the season really truly gets going. So Man City got the job done, 2-0. And the last game of the weekend was Spurs and Leicester. Leicester hosting Spurs back in the Premier League. And Jamie Vardy, people, the ageless wonder, got the equalizer to, dash Spurs' hopes of getting 3 points on the first day. Pedro Porro got the goal for Spurs. But the big talking point of this game was pretty much Jamie Vardy. Him still being able to perform at the level that he does, still looking to have the legs to get in behind defenses. Now, of course, after about 60 minutes or so, you could see his game start to fade away, which is to be understood. But I think when he was coming off was one of the main talking points when he was getting off the pitch, pointing to the badge, pointing to the Premier League, and then pointing to the badge of Leicester and showing a 1 to the fans, and then doing the same for the Tottenham fans, pointing to them, pointing to the badge, and going like this and putting a 0. So this guy definitely was, when it comes down to trolling as a football player, I don't think many beat Jamie Vardy. He definitely is a top level troll. We call that, shithousery meter, very extremely high. Jamie Vardy is second to none when you forward on to that type of thing. So looking forward to all the other things that he might come up with this season. And I had Leicester staying up. Of all the relegated or promoted teams, I had them staying up, and they gave a decent account of themselves. I think Tottenham on another day probably could have already been out of sight by the time Vardy equalized, but that's the nature of football. You don't take your chances in this league and you come to regret them later on. So I think Liverpool do have, not Liverpool, excuse me, Leicester do have some pieces that can help them to stay up. I think that some of the signings they have made have been good. I think Bobby Reid is going to help a lot, just with that kind of run through. He's played for some teams that have fought relegation and been able to come out victorious. Bobby Reid, as you can see on the statistic sheet, didn't have the best matchup. I did do a roundup of all the Jamaicans earlier this week, and or I think I did that Sunday, I believe, but we didn't get a chance to see Bobby. So let's do what we would have done if he had played on the weekend for him as well. As you can see, not the best score, a 6.0, was substituted in the 86th minute. As you can see, his heat map makes sense for Bobby Reid. You see him touch the ball all over the place in his own box a few times, and quite a few times actually. Then all up that left side, all the way down to the corner flag, up to the opposite corner flag. So Bobby Reid, you know what you're gonna get: non-stop work, non-stop energy, non-stop endeavor. Sometimes the quality is not where we'd want it to be, but definitely going to give you 150% every single time. He played 86 minutes, low XG, low XA, so didn't really get involved in any goal mouth actions that much. 36 touches on the night, 15 of 23 for 65%. So it's a part of the reason why his score would have been dragged down. Not the best passing accuracy on the day. 0 for 1 on his crosses, 0 for 1 on his long passes. He had one shot off target. He was 1 for 10 in his ground duels. So that's another thing would have pulled that score down. Bobby definitely needs to do better in that sense for sure. I'm sure he'd want that to be closer to 5, 6 out of 10. 0 for 2 on his aerials. He lost the ball 14 times out of his 36 touches. He committed 2 fouls, was fouled once, was offsides once, put in some defensive work with 3 clearances and 1 block shot, but he did get dribble past 3 times as well. So sometimes the stats lie, people, but today I would say a 6 is fair. I don't think he really affected the game enough in an attacking sense, but I do think that when Leicester started to grow more into the game, that's exactly what you saw from Bobby Reid as well. Just that link from defense to attack whenever they decided to start that attack down that left side. So Bobby Reid, I thought, grew into the game, grew into his first performance, and when he was subbed off, got a big ovation as well from the crowd. So they understand that with Bobby Reid, you're just going to get that endeavor, and you're never going to look at him and say, boy, he just didn't do his job today. That's not going to happen. So Bobby Reid, first game for Leicester, statistically not the best, but put in a shift as well, that you have to be proud of. Just the fact that new team under the cash for a lot of it in that first half especially, and he was able to hold up on that left side. I thought his left back Christensen, they should be able to form a decent enough partnership, because he looks to be a very competent player down that left side as well. So just looking forward to see that synergy and that communication and combination grow, and see if they can bear fruit from it moving forward. But Leicester City was able to get a point on their first game back in the Premier League this go around against Spurs. So look out for another preview show later in the week, and we will definitely break it down. But before we move on from the EPL and close that off, we just want to say big ups to the one named Declan Stennett. He was able to secure the best record with a 6-3 record. Now, I have to be fair to Hot Chili and Fanamina. They all had a 6-3 record, but on this channel, the tiebreaker is always how many correct games you can get. So it's kind of like the goal difference in this league table. So Declan was able to correctly guess 3 games. He got the score right for the Liverpool game. Right? He had the Liverpool. No, it wasn't the Liverpool game. It's which game? Oh, Declan. So why am I give you that game there as a correct game? Declan, it look like you never. Oh, you still win though. So you got 2 correct, right? You got 2 correct, right? I don't know why I gave you 3. Okay, I never get that right. Yeah, he went 3-0 Liverpool and it was 2-0. So I think Hot Chili was the only one to get that correct all the way. So Hot Chili had 2 and you had 2. So the cup of a split, look like a photo finish to the 10,000th of a second, because to the 1,000th of the matchup, both of them get 2 right and finish 6-3. You got the Liverpool game right, and then you both got the Forest and Bournemouth game. You both got that correct. So those are the 2 you both got right. He got the Forest Bournemouth game, and he got the Liverpool game. You got the Forest Bournemouth game, and you got the West Ham Aston Villa game. Totally spot on. So yeah, Duckland and Hot Chili share with a 6-3, 2 wins correct. Fana Minot also 6-3, but Fana Minot out of all his predictions could not get 1 exactly correct. And then I finished 5-4 to bring up the worst. So I made a donkey of the week. Made a donkey of the week for the predictions, 5-4. I did get 2 correct. I did predict Arsenal correct, as I tend to do a lot of the time. And I did predict the Brentford Crystal Palace result to be 2-1 for Brentford. So yeah, 5-4, not the best showing out of the 9 games. We'll have time to do all 10 this week, because we'll do the show Friday night for the games to start Saturday. So yeah, man, look out for the show Friday night of the EPL prediction show. Usually we run it for about 2 hours, and definitely we just do a nice full breakdown of all the games, all the teams, all the injury news, and we try to give good predictions that make sense, and we try to base it in truth and what we know about the game. All right, and we do a little friendly competition each week with some of the subscribers and some of the members, just to keep them involved. Duckland, somebody that always takes part in it, so really appreciate that, Duke. And we love the banter and the back and forth, and see who can be the crown for that week. All right, so Duckland and Hot Chili get the plaudits this week. Fana Minot very close, just couldn't get the scores right. And Jason Gooner, Boyz, you're showing you finished last. That not look good. That not look good at all. I forgot to remove myself. Chelsea looks like they need 2 teams in the league, boy. I mean, I tell you, they need about 4. All right, so basically, that is everything that I had on the screen as far as the title is concerned. But before I head out today, right, I do want to touch on one last thing. Now, of course, it's been making the rounds. Last week, Dennis Strong came out, said, listen, in order for Bailey to be eligible again, he'll have to write a letter stating that he is eligible and available for selection, since we have suspended his selection. Now, there have been various different things said about, the letter is too much. Why is the JFF being so heavy-handed? Some people agreed, say, listen, we don't want to mix up. Just tell us when you're ready, and that way we know there's no mix-up. Mr. Rudolph Speed last night was on a program. I believe it was on IRFM. Forgive me if I'm misquoting that. And Mr. Speed said that, there's no letter that needs to be written. It's all down to the coach. The coach will speak to the player, and if the coach picks a player, he's available. There's no issue. No letter needs to be written. He doesn't need to say anything about that, right? So, look, my issue is not with there being no issue, because no issue is good. That's a good thing. I don't want issues to arise. That's not good. We want it to be smooth. My issue is, again, in the communication of the hierarchy of the JFF. Why is it that 2 such high-ranking officials in the JFF can have such opposing views on so many issues? It doesn't make sense to me. Is it a case where Speed and Chung just don't speak to each other ever? Because last week, the Gleaner can reach out to Chung for a statement, and Chung says something, and then 1 week later, it's completely different. And mind you, Chung's article came out after the press conference, after they would have all sat down and spoken to each other. Speed, Chung, president, the coach, the assistant coaches, anybody involved, the management. They would have all had those discussions that same day of the press conference, and that time while McLaren was in the country. And then that article came out after, saying that he still has to write a letter to say he's available. JFF, please, I'm begging you, stop the mixed messaging in the public, brother. It not look good. It not look good at all. But one thing is for sure. If you're wondering about the hierarchy of the JFF people, in terms of who really running the ship, who's steering the ship. You need no more evidence than this recent thing with JFF and Bailey. The secretary came out with a statement. The public believed us, so it go. The public was divided on who was right, who was wrong. No letter, this letter, no letter, that letter. Right? So a public debate happened based on the words of Mr. Chung, which now, in hindsight, after hearing Mr. Speed's words last night, was another division of the fan base that was totally unnecessary, because in the end, it was never going to be down to any letter, according to what Mr. Speed says. Now, I guess it might be too early to pass judgment as to who wields the bigger stick in the whole argument, because we won't know until the squad is selected. And if there is the omission of a one Leon Bailey, will we then have to ask Mr. Speed or Mr. Chung why Bailey was omitted, or do we just go straight to the source McLaren? Speed tends to think that it's just straight to the source McLaren. Chung seems to think that he's still suspended. So JFF, I'm waiting. I've heard from two. Maybe the president can speak now, or which one is the truth? I don't know. But as of right now, based on who spoke the latest, Leon Bailey is available for selection, and hopefully Mr. McLaren's conversations with him have gone well, and we can look forward to seeing him in the next window and in September 6th playing in the stadium against Cuba. But again, JFF, the mixed messaging, it not gonna work. You can't have one man say one thing and then a week later the other man say the next thing. It don't work. It don't work. People them run out with them narratives already now based on something that didn't even have to be a narrative. And I just don't get it, people. Why we can't just have one message? Why we can't just have one message? Before we go to print, before we talk to anybody, just make sure the messages are in line with what everybody in the hierarchy is saying. It's getting annoying now, man. Come on. One message. You see the man telling you, it'll go take from the top all the way down to the brother where I clean the team bus to be on one accord. And right now, we can't even get the JFF hierarchy at the top levels to be on one accord. So we need to work on that, guys. We need to work on that, guys. This is not a beating session. This is a teaching session. A lot of people say beat and teach, not beating. Just a teaching session. We need to learn from our mistakes. We need to stop putting out different messaging when it comes down to issues within the federation. We need to sit down, create a unified front, and then, sure, if this man wants to go to this place because he have a relationship with this host, do that. But when we watch both shows, we need to be able to say, okay, him said this and him said that, and that's in line with each other. But too often, we don't get that. And it doesn't help. It doesn't help at all. It doesn't help at all. So yeah, that's my little teaching moment. Stop the mixed messaging, JFF. Please, my beg you, stop it. Get on the same page before I put out anything that the public going to consume. All right? It will help a lot. Yeah, man. So everybody that was in the building today, I want to give a massive shout out and respect. I know the timing is a little bit different for us today, and I don't even know if others are live right now, but you don't know my content stand the test of time. So if you couldn't watch it live, you just watch it when you have the time and leave your comments in the comment section. I want to big up to everybody that that passed through today and left some comments and their thoughts in the comment section. Definitely enjoyed bringing you this content today, and we have touched on a lot of different topics, but hopefully I did a good enough job of kind of compartmentalizing everything so that you guys can follow along nicely. And yeah, this was just a little bonus segment that I wanted to touch on since it was so fresh. Didn't have it in the title or the thumbnail, but I thought it was important to just give my thoughts on what I thought about how everything has played out. All right. So big up to everyone that showed up and dropped a strength on the video, whether it was a like, a comment, I'm sure I gained some subscribers as well. So really thankful for that. And on the way out, if you are just watching it now, please, and thank you, drop a like on the video, share the content as well, and let your family members know that Jason needs the subscribers. So if your dog have a device, make them subscribe as well. Yeah, man. Big up on yourself, people, and thanks again for the support. And until the next time, we are out of here. Again, look out later, Lord willing, and family permitting, we will be doing a live stream for the Columbus versus Philly game. All right, and we'll try find the game and throw it in the Discord for all those who having trouble to find and play and watch that game. All right, so big up on yourself, and thanks again for the support, and massive respect to all of you guys. Big up, and Jason Gooner TV is out.